indeed, perseverance. That's the way to go, you know. Anything you want to do, achieve, you work hard towards it. Huh? Keep your focus. That's what persevering is. Well, I'll leave you with that for today. And of course, I invite you to join me whenever I'm on next. And we'll have some good times, yeah? This guy needs to pay more attention to his microphone, according to the judges. I can't get over that comment yet, and I'm still upset about it. But we catch you Tuesday, officially.
I can talk, I so this. Hear me? But now I have some doubt. My hand in the lion mouth. The returns not adding up to the expenses. When I sing nice songs in the semi-final, people swear that I make the demons cry. But like they want my soul, my pocket full of holes. I finish pawn all my silver and gold. Guy so good make me a vagrant. Guy so good make me a vagrant. Money tight, dread and slow. Is my vagrant partner clothes I borrow? Guy so good make me a vagrant. This guy so good make me a vagrant. I hustling by traffic lights like they want me go Murray Street in the night.
Guy so good make me a vagrant. Guy so good make me a vagrant.
You never know I could end up a vagrant for Guy so. To tell you how this thing's serious, this time I believe me chorus. Hear them.
I could end up a vagrant for Caiso.
Good Lord God. Well, they don't know now. Yeah, the boss. I think it's pressure. Pressure. Oh Lord. Don't get the boss. Well, they hear this. Year after year, I just try my best to present titles with depth and beautiful melodies. Hey, my partner mother can make finals and I can. Sometimes I feel somebody messing with me. Social commentaries, well-researched, positive, thought-provoking, original and constructive. Yes, a Caiso jump from Tobago in the mass graduate zone. Mr. Mother can't flatten that like a pampano.
Caiso could make me a vagrant. Caiso could make me a vagrant.
I'm selling shatines in the market, but every year I'm taking baskets.
Caiso could make me a vagrant.
Good Lord God.
Caiso could make me a vagrant.
I sneak in the bush by Trevor Sayers. I bounce about 2-3 entertainers.
Caiso could make me a vagrant. Caiso could make me a vagrant.
Lord in heaven knows I could end up a vagrant for Caiso. To tell you how this thing's serious, take a listen to me chorus. Hear them.
I could end up a vagrant for Caiso.
Good Lord. Here now. This ain't not easy, you know. It's pressure. All you remember, Shadow's classic poverty is hell. 101% Trini ain't come back since. Iowa and Rhoda said, so long, no profit in Caiso town. Going Dubois done with Caiso, he's convinced. This Caiso business could be really pure hell. Plenty singers disappear and lose their shell. While I bear pain and show some class, I catch in my mother mass. But one day my name shall be first at last.
Caiso could make me a vagrant. Caiso could make me a vagrant.
The credit union record is a crime. My grandmother dead about 15 times.
Caiso could make me a vagrant.
Good Lord God.
Caiso could make me a vagrant.
I check the blue machine, boy first thing bad. The machine tell me, boy, just give back the card.
Caiso could make me a vagrant. Guy so good, make me a vagrant.
Lord, in them knows
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on I95.5 FM.
And streamed live, on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page, and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Dependency right here on I95.5 FM, live on the Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And happy International Women's Day to you. The 8th of March was yesterday, and the celebrations were afoot in the city of Port of Spain and elsewhere around the world. Today, our conversation is about International Women's Day, and we're taking a slightly different angle this morning. And we're speaking with men about how they understand gender equality and the issues that most women are fighting to deal with in this point in time, and what is their perspective on how they support women and girls in the fight for gender equality.
Good topic. And I think this is, as you said, it's a different angle. And I'm waiting to hear the views of our guests this morning, and from you too, who will join us. We thank you very much for your continued support. But you will hear from Dr. Jerome Tiloxing. We'll have him on the phone. And in studio with us, we'll have Mr. Raymond O'Keel, President of REACH, and Kyle. Raymond, yes, President of REACH and Inc. REACH and Inc. And I pronounced that right. Yes. And Mr. Jaden St. Hill, Director of MERGE, that's Marriage, Enrichment, and Recommitment to God and each other. Very powerful, and we really, really hope that we can engage you out there this morning, especially our men. And it's a journey. It's a journey. It's from growing up and understanding the rights of or the that's that famous phrase that you would use back then, and Natasha always quick to correct anyone she hears says it. Behind every good man is a good woman, and and then that was changed to at the side of every great man is a great woman. So
how about we flip it and say beside every great woman is a great man?
That too.
Maybe you could start saying that.
Yeah, it's important, but they're never behind. They are the side of us, and I mean, I can attest to that, people. I'm telling you, I always say to you that if it wasn't for Natasha, I would not have been in Trinidad even. But Dependency stayed steady because of her. It kept me focused, and in the jungle that I had to navigate, thank God, I had to go back home to someone who understood and always willing to smile and give me that encouragement. And when she vexed, she vexed. But the thing is, I understand the importance of it. Unfortunately, I didn't grow up in a household like that. I had to learn this on the trot. So this morning, we will have that conversation, and then we will also speak with, you will hear about Dr. Roses and Sisters Calling. You see that means no video. And also you'll hear from my schoolmate, Marsha Clifton. Lady Adana, you know her because she has a show coming up, and this is all in support of women this morning. So let's go to a break, and let's switch gears here in studio, and we'll be back with this important discussion. Did I leave out anything, Natasha?
No, I just wanted to relate when we come back an episode or conversation that I had yesterday on International Women's Day during the march and rally held by the network of NGOs. I thought it was an interesting conversation, and I want to engage the men that we that our guest this morning about the reaction that men have to women advocating for themselves. Because I find it interesting that men usually have one kind of response. So we'll discuss that when we come back from the break.
And also, this speech was delivered yesterday in Woodford Square by a representative of the Gender and Child Affairs Ministry Office of the Prime Minister on behalf of the Minister of Gender and Child Affairs.
Yes.
And we will show you that as well.
Yes.
From the lady who delivered the address. All right. So that's the Gender Affairs Deputy Director at International Women's Day rally in Woodford Square yesterday. So we have lots for you this morning. Let's go to that break quickly and return with this morning's discussion. We'll be right back.
Yes, girl. I would like with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
The sex trafficking thing is a serious thing, you know, boy.
Sex trafficking? I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, you know about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
This Sunday, March 9th, on episode 10 of I on Dependency, reality radio at its best.
This Sunday, we ask, how are men and boys celebrating International Women's Day 2025? How are they prepared to accelerate action in support of women and girls? Join Garth and Natasha for a conversation in partnership with the Gender Affairs Division, Office of the Prime Minister, about gender equality, women's empowerment, conflict resolution, and the role of the father in parenting. Listen live from 10 a.m. on I95.5 FM or watch live on the I on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. The Counter-Trafficking Unit, Ministry of National Security brings you I on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
Thank you very much for staying with us. This is I on Dependency, and today we have a studio of men. We're talking about International Women's Day and women's issues, but we want to take a Let's hear from the men this time. I was talking to Garth before we came on air, and I was telling him that women's issues are not women's issues alone. They have to be confronted not only by women but by men in solidarity. And because we don't often hear from men and how they feel about these issues and what they are doing to address them, we decided, with the assistance and support of the Gender Affairs Division, to have this conversation this morning.
Keep in mind, we have men out there who still think that they should not be charged for raping their wives.
Yep.
We have men out there who still think that women's place is in the home, in the kitchen. Believe it or not, there are people in 2025 who feels that way. Whether we like it or not, it is the truth.
Absolutely.
Some men are intimidated, literally intimidated by strong, intelligent women. I don't know why, but maybe this morning we'll find out why. It's sad sometimes, but and these men will grow up their sons like that.
Absolutely.
So it's a vicious cycle. But
and
let's
also
welcome
women who live in this system, this society that we reside in, they are affected by the patriarchy as well. So women are not exempt from those views or those mindsets.
Yeah, and the irony is though that Trinidad and Tobago literally run by women. Most of the PSs in our country are women.
Yeah.
And they make some serious decisions on behalf of their ministry and by extension Trinidad and Tobago.
As well as most of the households in Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly. So they have a lot of juggling to do in this society. So we have to pay attention to that as well. But we have in studio Mr. Raymond O'Keel and Mr. Jaden St. Hill. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you all. Thank you for having us.
So, Mr. Jaden, he is Director of Merge, Marriage, Enrichment, and Recommitment to God and Each Other. And Mr. Raymond O'Keel, who is the President of Reach N Inc. Can you pronounce that for us?
Reach N Inc.
All right.
Inc. Really Global International.
Right. So let's go on. Let's start with Dr. Jerome Tiloxing, who is on the line now. As you know, let's introduce him. Good morning, Dr.
I want to paint a landscape for you that his coming forth in a newly independent nation was something that made so much sense.
Hello? Just when you song something.
You sound a little distant there, Doc. Say something again so we can make sure we're hearing you clearly.
Doc?
Yes, hello?
Yes, go
right,
ahead.
much better.
Right. Good morning to you all in the studio and your listeners.
Morning.
Right. So, Dr. Tiloxing.
Yes, so Doc, we just celebrated International Women's Day, and as the founder of International Men's Day, there are issues that men have to confront when we are talking about issues to do with women. But I want to start off by asking you, what do you understand gender inequality to mean, and how do you think it manifests?
Right. Well, a lot of times when we hear gender equality, when we hear the very term gender affairs, we think women. And that is why, we had to form a men's bureau, so that even at the university, when we hear about, the gender studies, we think women's studies. So the very term gender has a connotation, and it has, over the years, it has a meaning of being for women, even though people know that gender is supposed to be men and women issues. So I think that issue of gender equality and even women's empowerment, I will tell you something which I have noticed, and some might disagree, but during the last 3 decades to 4 decades, the United Nations and other governments have tried to prevent the imbalance between men and women. And in doing so, a lot of funding, a lot of resources went to help the women and children, and men were left behind. So now that when we talk about gender equality, it isn't really the women who need that equality as much as some of the men. Right? So that is what I want to say, but I know that in some, occupations, the women are underrepresented.
Well, what about the flip side of that coin, Doc?
Right.
Gender inequality. Do you perceive that to exist?
It does exist. And I'll tell you something. Gender inequality is very real. We can be like an ostrich and hide our heads in the sand. Just like racism and religious discrimination, it all exists. What we have to do is how to find solutions to solve those problems.
I hear you. And how can you give us some examples, perhaps from your perspective, as to how gender inequality impacts us as individuals, as families, and as society?
Good. I will give you a few examples. Firstly, let's say a job is advertised for a CEO of a company, and maybe it's a government's job, and the government would say within themselves, well, let's give a woman that job, right? Even though the woman might be underqualified, and they say, it will look good for the government, it will look good for this ministry. So she's given the job, and she doesn't perform well. But it's a good election tactic. It's good for the government PR purposes to say that the woman is there. So we in Trinidad and in other countries, we don't look at merit and qualification and education many times and experience. We tend to do a lot of window dressing. So I'm seeing that a lot of times governments are inefficient. Companies, private and public companies, are inefficient because they hire on the basis of gender and not issues like merit and qualification. And you would know the big controversy in the United States right now with the DEI, right? That the president is trying to deconstruct and is creating havoc. So I think, just as the United States, people went and hired ethnic minorities because it made their company look good. We also have to be mindful that people are being hired on the basis of gender, and it creates problems. It creates conflict when some of the men who are qualified, more competent, are overlooked simply because a director or somebody higher up believes that we need to put a woman here to make us look good and make us look like there's equality.
Wow, I'm a little thrown by your perspective on that, Doc. So let me hand it over to Garth with that, because I have to disagree.
Right.
That equity and inclusion and diversity is not something that should be at the forefront. I think it should. We should have opportunities available for everyone, of course, based on their qualifications and some level of merit.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Eh?
Yeah.
I'm saying we cannot keep it as the sole factor, the sole criteria.
Right. Mr. Garth?
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have on the phone Dr. Jerome Tiloksing. And, Dr. Tiloksing, while you're all speaking there, my mind ran straight to Carnival. We just came out of another Carnival season. Is this why women subconsciously, you think, actually take over the streets of Carnival and they let go, they let loose, because of this is probably the only time they have to show that, hey, I at least I'm in charge of something, because the saying, there's no Carnival without women. Do you think that this is why women react like that on these 2 days?
You raise a good point, and it could be that the women need to be liberated, and they see that space as theirs. They claim that space as theirs, a space where they have freedom, a space where nobody could control them, no man could control them. So you brought up a good point. It's something that researchers, academics, and others need to re-examine. That that Carnival space is also an attempt for women to get away from the patriarchy, get away from the control. Right? So it is a valid point that you make.
Yeah, because this is the opportunity for me to go in front of the camera and I know my boss watching and say, yeah, take that now. Stop me from doing this now.
But it's also an indication, Garth, as you rightly say, that in the rest of our lives, the other 362 days, that we are put in a box and conscribed to exhibit a certain kind of behavior and right?
Yeah.
As women are supposed to be ladies and etc. Right?
And they still get tarred and feathered for it.
Exactly, exactly. So you do indeed raise a very good point about the liberation of women.
But let's hear the men in studio thing. Let's start with that.
Very interesting discussion this morning. Welcome to all the viewers. I'm happy to be here. I was sharing with Natasha and Garth earlier that I grew up on this show, and it's a pleasure to be here. I think when it comes to the topic of carnival and the display that we see among the women, I would want to posit that part of that may be due to the fact that everything that a man does, in my opinion, to some degree is driven by a woman, and attention to a woman and things of the sort. For example, there's a common notion that some men leave them alone without the prospect of marriage and stuff in terms of acquiring a home, a house. They live in a cardboard box. They live in a little garage. They have a nice flat screen TV. They don't dan up their house and as they would do if a woman would come into the picture. And that really speaks to a quality that a woman brings into a man's life and how she would change him not changing him actively, but her very presence in his life tends to evoke a particular response in the man.
Yes.
And so we see it in advertising and marketing the world over. You want to advertise men products, put a woman in it. You want to advertise tools. You want to advertise parts for cars. You want to advertise a lot of stuff. Put women in it. We also have to bear in mind that the world over, women are the market movers for consumerism, in that most of consumer decisions are made by females. So marketing specialists, they target the women, because we know in the home that when you go in the grocery with the wife, in spite of what you want, all right, the woman is going to make her suggestions.
She's probably going to make a list before you go there in the first place.
Definitely.
And have a budget.
Yeah. And the men are going to traditionally forget that list. They forget it home, and they're going to need the assistance of the woman in that regard. So as we speak to the topic of even gender equality, I think it must not be understated that though there are gender roles that I subscribe to, that I believe are necessary for the functioning of societies, there should also be integrated, and there should also be a thrust for gender equality, even in those gender roles. And so by our very biology and our very makeup, some of us, based upon our gender, naturally predisposed to doing things better than others. And of course, this is a generalization, all right, because there are women who are stronger than men. But if we're looking, for example, for a job for a porter, a lorry boy to offload trucks and stuff, I wouldn't want to live in a space where we just high-end, as Dr. Tiloxin said, we just looking at gender only as the only criteria. But I really think that gender equality and gender equity should really be a beacon in the front of our minds to know that every woman and every man should have access to the same level of opportunities, and you should not be disqualified simply based upon your gender. You shouldn't be disqualified from opportunities. But at the same time, I think we don't oftentimes have the balance. As in many things in society, we see black and white and no one can see gray. We don't oftentimes have the balance, because while we are saying that men and women should have equal access to opportunities, we still have to confess that there are things that are in a man's domain more than they are in a woman's domain, and there are things in a woman's domain that are more that are not in a man's domain primarily. And of course, these are generalizations. Mm-hmm. These are generalizations.
Yes, they are.
And so, because they are generalizations, when it comes to the company interview process, I think we need to be a little bit more meticulous in not disqualifying somebody, because there may be a woman applying for a job that is actually stronger, more suitable than all the 10 males line up for that particular job.
Raymond?
Well said. For me, one word I want to change, because you're thinking about communicating, and men, when men hear certain words, they could become kind of resistant to help. So women don't necessarily change a man. What they do is influence and give the man the opportunity to maximize his potential.
Yeah.
So a woman is not in a space, don't feel threatened to change you, but to influence and to partner with you so you can maximize your potential. Failure to do that means that you don't want growth, you don't want development, you don't want a sense of stability, you don't want to become all that you were designed to become. And also, as we talk about that, from the biblical perspective, from Genesis, I always refer to this 128. And when the Lord created, he said, go, take care, nurture, encourage, have dominion over the earth. He never gave human beings dominion over each other.
Okay.
And in that space, you will see equity, equality, and shared responsibility to care, to nurture. So when it comes down to the woman is a nurturer, no, a man is a nurturer too.
Thank you.
And that's why we have a lot of boys, male, seem to be hardcore, because men were given the ability to help other men develop that aspect of empathy in them. If you have a father who's really caring and loving, and it is very difficult as a boy, even when sometimes, a girl hit a boy, and we see what you're soft, but even when you look at his relationship with his father, that nurture him, he has a sense of empathy towards others, especially opposite sex. So there's a greater sense to resist from responding in a physical way. When you take a father, take a son, or give him a pet, or give him something to mine, it nurtures or develop or activate that whole aspect of empathy, which we lack, sadly, in society today. So when I see it from that context, I see God in his original placing of man and woman in the earth. He placed them in a space of equity and equality.
Beautiful. And if I might add, as we speak concerning the Bible, even in the New Testament, we find that Paul said there's neither Jew nor Greek, bond or free, male or female, for all are one in Christ. And so even Jesus, when he came on earth, what he came to do was to ensure that male and females, they are equal. So all are one in Christ. There's neither male or female. There's equality throughout the Bible. Or rather, the ideals of Christianhood is benched upon equality. Do we find inequality in the Bible? Of course we do. We do find inequality in the Bible, but the ideals that Jesus espoused has always been equality.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have on the phone Dr. Jerome Tluxing, who is the founder of International Men's Day. In studio, have Mr. Raymond O'Keel, president of Reach and Inc., and Mr. Jaden St. Hill, director of Merge, which stands for Marriage, Enrichment, and Recommitment to God and each other. We'll find out more about these two gentlemen in a while, but Mr. Tluxing, Dr. Tluxing, how you respond to what you just heard?
Okay, still with us?
Yeah, hello?
Yes.
No, well, I don't know if you were listening the entire conversation here with these two gentlemen, but I was just asking you how you respond to what you just heard.
Yeah, I agree with what they said. I really don't have a...
Doc, you're sounding distant from your phone. I don't know if you're using a headset or something, but you're sounding really distant.
You hear me better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Any particular aspect you want me to talk about? Because I more or less agree with what they were saying.
I think perhaps you could speak to how men and boys can be engaged to promote, as Raymond was talking about, and Jaden as well, the positive gender relationships
right.
between men and women.
I think what happened is that...
Dr. Hold on. And after you answer that, I want to find out what made you decide to come up with International Men's Day.
Okay.
There must be a reason for that. Right? But go ahead, answer the question. And then
I think that what we need, not just in the Caribbean, but in other countries, is that the young boys need to be socialized from primary school, from kindergarten, to treat females better, to treat girls better, young ladies. And I think that is not happening. Maybe it could be integrating at the primary school level in a subject like social studies. But I think from the earliest age, from kindergarten, preschool, come right up, there needs to be a young boy, a teenager who is more caring and more aware of differences, subtle differences, real differences, with the other gender, and try to, bridge any barriers and gaps. Because a lot of times, boys often are unaware, that what they say might be hurtful, their actions, might be misinterpreted or harmful. So I think that we need this in our curriculum. It has to be part of the curriculum, not the academic curriculum, of course, but maybe in a special session in primary and secondary schools.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that one. It should start. I mean, even if the young men are getting it at home, at least in school, they would be right.
Garth, if I may circumvent your second question to ask this, based on the conversation that we've been having about gender roles. Jaden said that we need gender roles to have some kind of order, right? But my concern is that these gender roles are set by whom? How do they affect the other gender? Are they too restrictive? Do they not consider individual, agency and beliefs and ideals? What if someone decides not to subscribe to either male or female gender? What happens then? All of these questions about the roles that the gender roles that we are assigned from birth, and how that manifests into some people being marginalized because of how they identify, or just feeling trapped in that gender role that is ascribed to them.
You raise a very, very good question, and as you know, it is very controversial right now in the 21st century and even before about, the topics like, the transgender issue, right? And so as a society, we need to, deal with these issues head on. We live in a democracy. And if someone does not subscribe to a particular gender role, what would we do? Should we marginalize that person? Should we try to correct them? Or are we going to brainwash them? Are we going to let them have their freedom? What will be the repercussions on others if we allow these few individuals to have this freedom? So I think what you brought up is a discussion that more of the public need to engage in. Just as we have discussions right now about the decriminalization of marijuana, we need to have these discussions about the gender role. Is it fluid? Would there really be, is there still two genders? How do we deal with that? Because we might say there are two genders and they'll have an underground movement, right, where, people are allowed to express themselves. So we also have to look at the impact on that, because let me mention to you that sometimes when people are stifled in a particular role, they go through depression, they commit suicide, they go into, alcoholism because of this pressure that family and society has placed on them. So we need to also, as you rightfully say, look at that issue of, how we set these gender roles.
Agreed.
If folks, those of you who, thank you for joining us on radio on 995.5 FM. And remember, those of you on Facebook and YouTube, remember to like and subscribe to the channel while you're there so that we can keep this going, especially for the social media aspect of it and dependency. And that was Dr. Jerome Silok Singh, or that is Dr. Jerome Silok Singh. He's the founder of International Men's Day. And in studio are Mr. Raymond O'Kale, president of Reach Inc., and Mr. Jaden Sentil, director of Marriage Enrichment and Recommitment to God and Each Other. Now, Dr. Tilok Singh, my question stands still. There must be a reason why you decided to come up with International Men's Day. And in your mind, we never had this topic on International Men's Day, right? How women could support men in their roles but
we do.
Tell us.
You don't need to ask.
Yes, dear. Tell us, Dr. Singh, what made you decide to come up with this International Men's Day?
Well, I decided, firstly, some of your listeners might know, but on the 19th of November, 1989, I saw men come together in this unity. This build-up to 19th of November was the day when we lost the United States in that qualifying World Cup game at the National Stadium. Mm-hmm. And, I saw not just everybody dressed in red, but I saw men coming together from all walks of life. They transcended barriers of ethnicity and religion and class and geographical location. They were united with women and children. There was this absence of discrimination, an absence of inequality, a unity and harmony that I wanted to inject into the global men's movement. I wanted to show that, yes, men have differences, but we need to put aside these differences for the greater good. And, that simple football game stayed in my mind from 1989. And, when I decided, a decade later in 1999 to fix 19th of November as Men's Day, that is what stayed in my mind, because I always remembered, as a young adult, the impact that had, everywhere it was. Maxi taxis had strike squad, there had Sea of Unity, and this is what I wanted to encapsulate. And the second reason I chose November the 19th, it's the birthday of my dad, and I wanted other young men and boys to see that they don't have to look for role models on the TV or novels. They could look for a role model within their family, a grandfather, a father, uncle, stepbrother, a big brother. So I wanted to, again, emphasize the importance of the family unit to show that is where, you get your best role models and your best exemplars. And that's one of the two major reasons. I chose November 19 and I started this Men's Day.
I was hoping to hear that, what I do, and I thought, like for International Women's Day, man, a whole month before that, you only hear an ad on the radio, all kinds of things, International Women's Day, and they do this, and they have sale, and they have all kinds of things. But for the men, that has just passed like, today's International Men's Day.
Something like Father's Day.
Yeah, right. You understand? When you have Mother's Day.
If men are not encouraging and celebrating the way women do, who you blame for that?
All right. So let's see.
Before we do, I just want to get these gentlemen's comments on the issue of gender roles, because I want to introduce this as well to the conversation, because how we create and how we reinforce those gender roles starts from cradle, right? Because if you have a boy child who is more interested in playing with dolls than with trucks, what do you do? How do you respond as a parent to that? Mm-hmm. If you have a girl who is more interested in playing sports than playing with dolls, how do you respond to that? How do you reinforce the societally accepted gender roles for this boy or girl child?
And if the mother understands what's going on with her son, would the father side with her and understand, well, look, we, regardless of what, we have to support our son.
Correct.
Even if he's not the typical.
He doesn't fit into that box, that gender role that is ascribed to boys.
Yeah. Let's hear you first, children. How would you deal with that?
Y'all intend to go down this road. Okay.
Talk about it.
Yeah. Well. I mean, my perspective may vary, and from the common understanding in modern society about these gender roles. What I think is we have to establish what is a child and what is within the remit of a child in terms of decision making. So society and all psychologists, we understand a child to be a particular age because of it is benched at a particular age because of neurological development. So a child isn't given certain decisions under the age of 18 based upon the fact that society generally agrees that they do not have the mental capacity and ability to make certain life decisions at this stage. So if we say in this concerning alcohol, if we say in this concerning sex that you cannot give consent, then when it comes to gender, why are we then shifting the goalposts of sorts? And even then,
comment, eh?
Yeah, and even then, we also have to understand the psychosocial development of a child. Every child goes through a stage, boys included, you see it a lot in boys, where they want to play with girl things. So boys, you would see them play with dollies, some of them. Girls would want to play with trucks. These things are very, and I want to be careful here because I am no expert in this area.
Child development.
Not child development, because I'm pretty experienced with that. But it is at the early stages of a child's life. A lot of these things are still being decided upon, and a lot of times external pressures sometimes can change the natural course of a child's development.
Absolutely.
It can change the natural course of a child's development, and in both ways.
I don't know why when you're speaking, I just see you heading for a kind of you're going through a door that's something, because okay, let me bluntly ask you this. If a day you come home and your wife says, our son is gay and I have to support him, I want us to support him. Now it's our fathers who will pelt him out the door immediately.
Yeah.
How would you respond to your wife when she tells you that? You will say, no, well, he ain't ready to decide that yet because he's 4.
Well, how old is the boy?
Well, it to me doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
Does it matter?
It does matter.
Natasha?
I would say no, because in as much as we understand the boundaries, the legal boundaries in terms of how children interact with society, the individual agency that children are allowed, which is their right, I think is what we lose sight of, because a child must know
how they feel
about themselves, not just in relation to society or their family, but how they feel about themselves.
All right, let me ask you this one before they jump in. You all ever did this when you're growing up? When my brother and I was growing up, we slept in our mother's dress. Yeah. I put on my mother's dress.
High heel shoes,
and
purse, everything.
Right. But then as we went along and we evolved, we went to basketball and football and all these different things. We shared that and we moved on, right?
Yes.
But
so
my mother didn't get scared.
Child, would you say, I agree, and would you say that child in that moment was gay?
No.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So that's what I'm saying. So the age is important, because if in that moment, because I did it, I put on my mom's dress, her high heel shoes, everything. I put a towel on my head and pretend I had long hair, everything of the sort. But did my parents label me at that tender age as gay? No. What they allowed is for my natural instincts to develop. And if at the time of adolescence you're looking at certain things in a particular direction, then you need to kind of prompt certain things for the child.
But they didn't beat us.
No.
And they didn't.
No. And I categorically.
Boy, take off that dress.
I agree. And so just for everybody to clearly understand my view here this morning, I do not believe in discrimination at all whatsoever. Even if my adult child grows up to tell me, Mommy, Daddy, I'm gay, it is not a situation where you get kicked out of the house. It's not a situation where you become ostracized from the family, where you become demonized and that type of thing. I disbelieve in that. The gospel disbelieves in that. We don't promote discrimination, ostracizing, demonizing, and putting down of anybody based upon their life decisions.
Raymond?
So I want to be clear that we have to be able to accept everyone in society for where they are at that point in time, and we don't always have to agree that where they are is correct, but we still have to accept them.
Raymond?
For me, curiosity is not permanent. See, so as a boy growing up, I grew up with 7 ladies, 7 aunties. I was the only male, well, apart from my grandfather, in the space. So I had to see all of that, dollying and playing. And, all right, so I did that. I would have played, but there was no point in time I ever felt I am one of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
And there's no point in time my grandfather also would have allowed that. Without him, now my grandfather never said, hey, you're not a girl, you're a man and stuff. But the mere fact I had a presence of a man amongst them, Dr. Tillerson said, to drawn to someone as a model, he was totally different from how the feminine will operate. I had some aunties, they could have only lived this much. They participated in sports, they could have gone this far and this fast. But when it came to the men, biologically, naturally, how we are wired, and we cannot deny that. Sometimes we want to take that out of the mix. There is distinction. The reality, if you take 50 women and you place them on an island, you go back 20 years later, how many human beings you will have? If you take 50 men and you place them on an island, you go back 10 years later, how many men would you have? So therefore, if that is as a principle of wisdom, as a principle of reality, of fact, you can tell me what you want, you can't change that. Therefore, it is designed for both sexes to coexist and in order to populate. Because that's what he said. He said when he made them both, based on Adam was the only time nothing was happening, and then he gave Adam and Eve. And he said, go be fruitful and multiply. Without both sexes, there is not multiplication. And therefore, as I say, curiosity and the change. This is my conviction. When man disobeyed God, chaos came into the earth. And therefore, everybody began to look within themselves and they start to misunderstand a number of feelings and operations and functions. And therefore, there must be counsel, because if we don't set up boundaries, if the sea doesn't have the boundaries, what will happen to the land? And sometimes we tend to miss that. And so I'm saying is that in the middle of counseling, there's safety. Because the way I grew up, I may not be able to handle if my adult child, and I like how you said it, an adult child come and say to me, listen to me, I prefer the sex. The way I am wired, because you talk about solution, I may cuff him directly in the face, right? If I walk in my door and my wife tell me, boy, you know your daughter gay, your son gay, and hear what you said there? I support them without even having a conversation. So maybe you have a conversation with my child and we didn't talk about it. So you use everything in the really, you see how the thing does go?
Right.
You understand? Now, I may be in a position, me grow up with that. You make up your mind, you and your child go, and it's bacchanal and confusion. So therefore, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. If you know you can't deal with it at that point in time, better you walk out the house. They very scripture say, listen, better you leave your house than stay in the middle of the house with a nagging or contentious woman. You will get violent. The creator of, I don't push the violence, but we have to understand the creature and how we are created. And therefore, there are some things could trigger. So, we said, better you leave the house than you stay in that position. Because remaining in that position, will be a male or female, being toxic, there could be a certain kind of reaction, especially based on your level of maturity.
So when
Raymond, sorry, let me just interject here for a second, because I'm listening very carefully to what you're saying, and you're explaining the need for the division between both genders, right? And every time we have this conversation with men about gender equality, it always comes down to men are stronger than women. So that, and we wired differently.
No, wait, stop. I
And
didn't
no,
say
no,
that.
no, wait,
No,
hold on,
wait,
hold
no,
on,
Tasha.
hold on.
No, wait. Hear this. I did
but-
not say that. But we are wired
But it-
differently, Tasha. But not. I never said that the men are stronger than women.
And
I'm
that-
saying.
and
Hear what I
that-
said.
and-
Hear what I
no, no, the
said.
point
I
I
said
wanna make,
in particular function. We could
Yes.
see the division. We could see the distinction.
Okay, we understand
That's what
that.
I want to make
but
sure.
I
please.
wanna link this to the kind of language that we hear in this space when we discuss this, and the focus on the strength of the man over a woman, the fact that he or she is stronger, bigger than, it has a connection to the violence that men perpetrate, not just against other men, but against women. That is the connection I'm seeing
But
there.
we must have an appreciation for it. You see,
And
because we push
this
it aside, God.
reinforces the gender role and the stereotype that men are inherently violent. That is wrong.
Right. But what I'm saying to us is...
I think, I mean, what my brother was saying, and I got it quite clear, is that there are defining rules and that we are different. Where he was getting to, and I think where he was getting to, because I like where he was going, in that we are different, but we are complementary. So the fact that we are different doesn't make us opposite.
But
and that's why he mentioned about the island. We have to be able to work together.
Agreed.
Because we have various gender roles doesn't suggest that we should butt heads at all. And because a man may be stronger and a woman may be better at multitasking doesn't mean one is better than the other. It simply just means that we are different. And our coming together is really what makes society all the better. And that's why I would have mentioned in the earlies that gender roles, which I think was a little bit mischaracterized of what I said, gender roles are important to the better functioning of our society.
I'm
Because
still hearing that the strength is what is focused on, and that implies to me violence and dominance.
No,
and that is what we're seeing in society today.
That's not what
the
we are saying.
dominance of men over women and other men.
And so I categorically want to say that I denounce any violence against women. And I denounce the toxic masculinity, as they say, that has this level of aggression. I think a stupid dog, forgive my language, I did some dog training, and they tell you an aggressive dog that is just aggressive to every and anything is a foolish dog. A dog that is able to be well trained, to lay with children, a friend enters the yard, and then a stranger enters the yard with aggression, and the dog is able to turn on and give equal level aggression. That's a smart dog. That's a dog that you want at your side. To be able to lie down here in studio, all your guests come in, everything, and you have a nice calm dog, but the minute a bandit comes in, that dog has the aggression to be able to mitigate and eliminate that threat. And I think, not wanting to call men dogs, but at the end of the day, I think a real man, while he may have some level of aggression and strength in him, his ability to be a good man is characterized by knowing when to apply and when not to apply. So as my brother said here, a man should be a nurturer in his space. A man should be able to cuddle his children, to tell them bedtime stories, to love his wife.
Stop right there. So, but Raymond said just now, if he come home and the wife his wife tells him that our son is gay, and Raymond said, you cough the boy in the mouth.
Now, therefore, let me say this.
Raymond problem.
No, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You see, if sometimes we don't touch what is real in order to communicate. Here, why I said, that's why I said, in the multitude of counsel is safety.
Right.
And if you know that's your temperament, better you
Then
walk away.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
Those
that's what you
are,
meant.
yes, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. And those
Yeah.
are real scenarios. I'm
But
saying this, though.
in what realm of human existence is it acceptable for a man to behave like that? How is it? When is it acceptable?
No, I'm
for
not
that
saying
kind of
right.
behavior?
I'm not saying it acceptable, but it's a reality because how we were wired and how we were influenced. So I'm saying.
So how do we change
because
that
of
then
the,
if it's
I
not
just
acceptable?
Said, right. So therefore, walk away. Learn to walk away. One man said, "What if you walk away? You learn to fight another day." And as a man, you have to be real with yourself, because we can't be living in a bubble. One of the challenges we have is that we do not live in a reality. We think we live in an ideal. And so, for instance. The other day in a conversation, people vexed with me, Natasha. I said, women, try your best and make yourself a hard target. So what about the men? They are sick men. You could dress in a flower bag, right? They have passion and zeal and desire.
Evil.
They will come after you with evil. But I'm saying is that we're not in an ideal world. So in an ideal world, every woman should walk down the road naked as she born. And no man have no right over her to interfere with her and stuff. And then you keep your desire, measure your passion, and suppress it. That is your business.
Is the
However,
men.
no, what I'm saying.
So what we doing to address that?
No, what I'm saying is that because we're not in an ideal world, we now understand we coexist in one environment. Yeah. So let's see how best we could partner with each other. And that's why we have rules and laws and stuff like that. Right?
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and this heavy discussion is being had with Dr. Jerome Tiloxing, who is on the phone, founder of International Men's Day. We're going to go to a break and return with more of this, right? But just to let you know, in studio, Mr. Raymond O'Keel, president of Reach and Inc., and Mr. Jaden Hill, director of Marriage, Enrichment, and Recommitment to God and each other. Have them elaborate on that in a while, but just before we go to the break, Dr. Tiloxing, if you're still awake, you're still with us?
Yeah, still
right. How you respond to what you just heard in 2 minutes?
Right. Let me mention, I enjoy the conversation about gender roles, but let me give you another dose of reality. There are many, many single parent homes across the Caribbean and across the world. And what we would say that a man should do on the mornings, be it carry out garbage or maybe wash the car, in a single parent home, the woman has that role too. So that some men might have died, maybe they went abroad to maybe fight in a war, maybe they're incarcerated, maybe they're in a wheelchair, confined in a wheelchair, and the woman has to do both roles. So that is something we also have to consider. We cannot just say, women have to cook, right? Suppose the woman is taking chemotherapy. Suppose she's very ill. Suppose she died. The man has to be the cook. He has to comb his daughter's hair on mornings for her to go to school.
And if the woman can't cook?
Correct. I will raise my hand to that.
Can the man teach
that is one part of the aspect of the gender roles that I do not subscribe to at all.
And I agree.
You have to cook a woman.
I agree with Dr. Tiloxing 100% head on. I think that it isn't hard and fast that a woman must cook, and that type of thing. But I also observe in my own life and in society these single parent families or these single persons who live by themselves. Let's say a woman is living alone. She oftentimes needs to call a man to do some certain things around the house for her. All right? And so sometimes it may be, and likewise, a man who is single may need to call a woman to do certain various tasks for him. And I mean, we can disagree with it, but
because my mom grew me up, and she pounded this in her. Hold on, my mom grew me up this way. My brother and I, she pounded this in our head: learn to cook, clean, wash, iron, and do
for
everything
yourself.
for yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
So that way you have to call no man to cook for you, right? And I grew up with that. So when I met someone who couldn't cook, I could cook. I mean, we looking healthy, right? If I didn't know to cook, we had been buying food every day.
Right.
But then I recognize his strength in her, what she brought to the table, which was more academic.
Yeah.
And the amount of work that she has to do. Then I'm not afraid of the mop. I'm not afraid of the pot. I'm not afraid of the clothes.
To extend that analogy,
and I agree.
Are you intimidated by what she brought into the space?
No.
But
that's a strength.
It helped.
To extend that analogy, God, girls being taught to do the things that are not within their gender role description. They're not. How to change a light bulb, how to fix a sink, how to change the oil in your car, change the oil. Right. Why? And why are girls not being taught these things? Because we are prescribed to this box that says you are a woman, you're supposed to do X, be able to do X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. Right? Your mother was very progressive in her approach to you with her boys. Unfortunately for me.
But 1 minute, did she seal it off? Really? No, my mother told me the same thing, Right. You know what she sealed it off with?
What?
No woman will cut style on you.
Yeah, well,
yeah. No, so therefore again, now, because we weren't thinking, well, gender, woman role and stuff. But that statement speaks loud. It means that really and truly, these rules are really for women. I'm just saying, in terms of that sealing off.
Yeah.
But as a man, Learn it.
Because we
it's
grew up-
essential and it's critical
Because if
and
you
crucial.
end up by yourself without a woman, what you gonna do?
Yes.
And we
What
grew
you
up
gonna
seeing
do?
that.
We need to get involved in that. And when we come back, I'll tell you something I'm doing right now, and something I also did with a group and how it affected them, but they're in a better space.
Let's go to
especially
that
me.
break. Let's go to a break, and drop your comments. This I love this conversation. Let's have your comments on Facebook and YouTube. In the meantime, let's hear your thoughts on what you've heard so far.
And when we come back, we can First Division.
Yes.
Let's go to a break. Go ahead, short man.
Ah boy. Feel like going and buy myself a senorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? What you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here? Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. Every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National
Morning. Listen now. Has noticed something about them new people and them up bureau day. Where's that? Girl, the man that he passing up and down in front of here with a set of woman.
I really noticed some women living there, you know. And they can't even say as much as good morning.
Well, listen now. I wonder if it's human trafficking. You think it's that?
So, how can you spot and identify perpetrators and victims of trafficking? Many victims are found living and working together in the same place and sleep in shared and inappropriate spaces. Victims work excessively long hours. They often sleep in the daytime and work long nights. They are often escorted everywhere they go and may appear to be malnourished. They may show signs of physical abuse, drug and alcohol use, and may also appear withdrawn, fearful, or intimidated. Victims who are migrants are often not in possession of their identity or immigration documents and have irregular immigration status. Perpetrators can be male or female and may appear to be managing or controlling the victims. And they may even at times appear to be the victim's best friend, boyfriend, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Do you want to support our work at Eye on Dependency? Here are 3 ways to do so. You can make a donation to the Eye on Dependency account at Republic Bank. You can follow the Eye on Dependency page on Facebook. You can subscribe to the Eye on Dependency channel on YouTube. Liking, commenting, and sharing the live on a Sunday also helps. Thanks in advance for your support.
Thank you for staying with us. We would like to share with you now, so we take a little break and remind you of what took place yesterday on International Women's Day. So we have a short video to share. It was the address by the Deputy Director of the Gender Affairs Division at the International Women's Day rally yesterday at Woodford Square. So you can run that video, Ms. Shortman.
On behalf of the Honorable Ayanna Webster Roy, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for Central Administrative Services Tobago, Gender and Child Affairs, and the National AIDS Coordinating Committee, I wish all the women and girls of Trinidad and Tobago Happy International Women's Day. Minister Webster Roy is unable to be here in person due to other obligations, but she sends her warmest regards to every girl, young lady, young woman, tanty, granny, as the whole world pauses today to celebrate the achievements of women, raise awareness about women's equality, encourage positive change to advance women and accelerate gender parity. And as Minister always says, in her Tobago accent, big up all yourself. the government of Trinidad and Tobago is fully committed to ensuring for all women and girls rights, equality, empowerment. Our vision for every woman and every girl who are on our shores is that they are safe, protected, nurtured, and empowered. Women's issues are complex and intersectional, and so we need to listen. We need to hear them out. We need to understand. We need to make the conversations accessible. And as we recognize, as Minister Webster Roy has continually affirmed, a more gender-just society needs an all-hands-on-deck approach. We need every sector, every stakeholder, every institution, and every citizen here to do their part in advancing gender equality and women's empowerment. Therefore, the Office of the Prime Minister, Gender and Child Affairs, is excited to continue our collaboration with the Mayor's Office as well as a network of NGOs. And today is not just about the march, but it is about partnering with various organizations to ensure that our women and girls participate in and benefit from systematic, sustainable, and accelerated action. Fellow citizens and the government continues to accelerate action on behalf of all women and girls. We know that achieving gender equality and eliminating gender-based violence requires our consistent dedication, innovation, and of course, our investment. Guided by the National Policy on Gender and Development, we continue to sensitize government agencies, civil society, and the public sector organizations towards mainstreaming the equitable advancement of women and girls and boys in all areas of national development and ensuring the protection, development, and participation of all children in preparation for a meaningful adult life. In using this approach to reducing gender discrimination in Trinidad and Tobago, we understand that we must influence children and young people, influence and talk to the youth all the way up to our senior citizens. At all ages, we are empowering our citizens as agents of development, respecting each other's human rights, and eliminating all forms of gender-based violence. So we continue to advocate for the improvement of employment opportunities for women in all sectors. We know that women and girls are the prime victims for abuse and gender-based domestic and sexual violence, but we have not given up the fight to stop all forms of abuse. There is help available. We have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Take note, 800-SAVE, available 24/7 for anyone to call. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 800-SAVE. Right? There's also the National Domestic Shelter, where women and children in distress can have a safe haven until they can get back on their feet.
True.
Thank you for staying with us. You just heard Ms. Renelle White, who is the Deputy Director of the Gender Affairs Division, Office of the Prime Minister, as she addressed the rally and march on International Women's Day at Woodford Square yesterday. She was one of many speakers. There were a lot of powerful women in that square yesterday. Too many to mention, but it was a really positive experience. But I want to, before we go to the issue of men pulling up men, I just want to share something that happened while I was at the rally, or after the rally, actually. After the rally, myself and 3 other people, we decided to stop into an establishment on Frederick Street to purchase a beverage. And there were a couple of guys standing up outside. One of them saw my sign and asked me, "What are you protesting for?" So my response was, "Well, today's International Women's Day." And his response was, "You know all a woman's supposed to do? You see, when you have when you have a man, don't take no money from no man if you don't like him." I was like, "What? How?"
That's crazy.
So my response was like, apart from shock, I'm like, so how about men don't give money to women you don't like? We start there now, because and to me that just exemplified everything that that throughout my 50 years of life, when you bring up an issue that impacts women, or you trying to advocate for women's rights and so, the men will come back with, but what about, and make it about themselves, and twist it around to say that women are really the cause of the problems, and all you also have to find a solution, because look at X, Y, and Z. Why is that? Why? I mean, I think, Raymond, you mentioned it earlier. Why is it that men are so reluctant to hear how they are doing damage, how they are causing harm, how they can be more...
Well, that is a wow to the man too, because he never look at it that way. We were really walking around here ignorantly, you know. We like sponge, we absorb so many things and we moving with it. The mere fact the statement you made to that person, even though you might react in a certain way, in the quiet space, that's not going to ring in the head. Because I always ask myself that, so if all under your navel, that is all you want to bring to the table.
Ah, boy.
Now, what's powerful about that?
Yes.
That takes us back to the old time days. I'm not in a position to maintain you. And when it comes to loving, that is right. So don't make no child for me and expect to mind no child in yourself and stuff like that.
You gotta have a J-O-B.
All I bring in is what under my table to the table. Fix your mix where that is concerned. The reality of the matter, Natasha, is that we as men, because sometimes we haven't been shown the flip side of it. Because I heard a popular person, that's why I want to say this particularly clear. We have to be careful in media who are using as influencers, because they could talk. Sometimes they're doing more damage than good. And one of the persons said, they asked, why are you not playing this song? He said, boy, man getting harassed with that. So you see the lack of education there? Now to sit down and dissect this song and have a meaningful conversation is real. Because at the end of the day, as you rightly said, it's about us. Why are we doing this to ourselves? You know, a woman don't like you, she don't love you, she have no interest in you, but somehow you feel like giving her things, you can change and redirect her towards you while you getting in your feelings, while you setting up yourself, because it's still her rights to say no to you, even though you choose to woo her with stuff. And I think we need to understand that it is my responsibility to begin to operate in a realm of self-control, not how I feel. However, what we regard this in society about feelings. So everybody feels, because I feel so, then I automatically have a right. But the other person have a right to say no.
Dr. Silok Singh, I want to ask you this. So let's as we come in, because you know this time will fly on us, what are some of the activities that can help fathers to build a stronger bond with their children? Let's start with you with that. Are you still there?
Dr. Tilak Singh?
All right, Chetan, can you help us with that?
Well, I think in terms of what can help, what role a father can play, and being a new father myself, my daughter is just 1 year old.
Okay, congratulations.
And it's my first child, and so I'm in the driver's seat to fathering and mentorship of a daughter.
Right.
And I think one of the things you can do to help your child and to bond with your child in a real way and to be able to impart on them those real good values is just as Raymond said earlier, as a man, you have to recognize that you are also a nurturer. That is not just the woman is doing nurturing. So spending time with your child and the way you treat your child mother, your wife, your spouse is really what you're impressing upon the child as well. And so I'll give you an analogy. My wife and I, every time my wife comes, she lays on my shoulder or something of the sort, she gives me a kiss. My daughter will look on, get up from playing her toys, and come and do the exact thing.
Right.
You know, and I started to look at that this child is mimicking behavior. So she's learning from her mother how to treat her husband.
Right.
But she's also learning from her father how to treat his wife.
Yeah.
And so when I just walk out the house and don't tell my wife goodbye or give her a hug, a kiss before I leave, she's learning that. When I blow off the handle. And so sometimes we think about just how we treat the children, but how you treat their mother impacts the child in a not just a psychological way, but a real experiential way. And so they grow up to accept that as that low standard to be normal, because you set the bar very low in terms of what your daughter or what your son would accept as the status quo.
And in turn, she would look for a partner with that same,
of course. Because I mean, there's what we call repetition compulsion, and repetition compulsion says that the same events and traumas of our life, we try subconsciously to relive them to make sense of them. So if a child grew up with seeing daddy being abusive to mommy verbally, subconsciously that child tends to gravitate back into those types of relationships. And so we have to be very careful.
I also want to say that we are really uniquely created.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in an environment of seeing abuse, and nobody told me this, but I made up my mind that when I get big, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
However, there was a part of me that says, I wonder why. Why would a woman receive that kind of abuse and still seek reconciliation with this man? But there's a part of me that says, somehow, it's just not right. And so we see some people come out of the most horrible spaces, and they never again recreate that kind of environment. For me, I want to talk about my father, myself, in a sense. We didn't grow up tight at all. We grew up far apart. Matter of fact, I didn't like the man at all, right? I give my heart to the Lord. I was strange circumstances going to a party to behave bad, and I had a divine encounter. One of the things that affected me real big is the Our Father prayer. And there's a part say, forgive me as I forgive those who trespass against me. And when I sat down there and I thought about the mercies and the goodness of God, I said, well, if you use God and you could forgive me for what I have done and what I might still intend to do, then who am I not to release a human being? And I say, you have to help me. When I talk about in the council, or in the multitude of counsel, safety, I sought help because I cannot, I could only give what I have. And therefore, I can now guide you, but I may not be able to give you. And I really submit myself to counsel, and I started to read scripture, and especially the book of Proverbs and stuff like that. And one of the things I want to say is, fathers and men, you must learn to listen to, and you must be teachable. That child could teach you things through a conversation, and you are not a hero to keep, because I think we are wired a certain way. It's okay to say, all this is bonding. Son or daughter, especially son, I don't know. Let me get back to you. Or son, you see what you're saying, I'm hearing you. Okay, right? We could have a further talk. If I cannot, in my own self, break it down, I believe networking, brotherhood, partnership is important. And why I say that, a lady called me and she said, and in this case was a lady, she said, I need you to talk to my daughter because she doesn't listen to you. I said, what happened? She have on this tight pants, and she vexed. So when I went and I looked at the pants, I said, well, you know, it's my little sister. I said, Ben, she twist so. I said, raise your foot so nice. I said, flex so. I said, the pants not tight, man. What happened to you? But the mother vexed. You see the girl say, Mommy, you see, the pants not tight. Now, I bring in this communication. I also did this also to a man who asked me to talk to her. He said, she doesn't listen to you. I said, okay, go in the mirror. I said, Sarah Ben, what you seeing? I said, look within this area. When she looked at it, she said, she started to put her hand to protect her private spots and stuff. And she said, oh, good. I said, what mommy want to say to you is that the pants is very revealing. You see how communication effective? No fight, no fuss. She changed it. She said, nah, I don't want to look. She never saw herself and how others will see her. So that whole aspect of me about that bonding is sharing experience too. I think how you share it. And you can only share what you experience. And at least sometimes all you have to say is, I'm sharing this with you because it did not either reap positive reward or positive lifestyle for me. My father sits with me now and he will share experiences between his mother and myself. And one thing he will always say, you must never disrespect your mother.
Raymond, I want to ask you a question because your story here is, I think, a pivotal one that we can use as a case study.
With my permission.
You said you saw certain things that you didn't replicate. And then you went on to share some of your life-changing experiences. And you said that God and reading the Word of God was one of the factors that made you more resilient to being susceptible to those types of things. And so I think we have to be able to, when looking to solve these problems, recognize what are those markers of change. Because it is, I don't believe that an individual just grows up and they don't follow in those footsteps just so. I think there may be markers of resilience in their life in different areas. And resilience comes from various parts of your life. It can come from religiosity, it can come from a bunch of different stuff. But ultimately, as we try to get that change, we have to figure out what made Raymond more resilient than the guy who became an abuser, who became this and that and the other, because that was what was modeled to him. And so we need to look at those we need to do resilience studies and understand what makes resilient individuals, what makes resilient families, communities, and what creates a resilient society.
Just quickly on your point, you said something about nurturing is from very early. Let me talk about certain sector. I don't believe we are ghettos in Trinidad after traveling, right? We have underserved, underdeveloped community. Ghetto is a mentality. But however, again, you see the pride in a man have to understand it starts from when you get the woman pregnant. You have to start to take personal responsibility. That bonding is not just when baby's born. So you have to go to the clinic, do certain things, make sure and begin to think now as a provider.
Rub the belly with cocoa butter.
Right, tell the fellas on them on the block, hey, you see 5 o'clock when mama call, that is all your business. All is a connectivity, because what it does, it gives affirmed the woman, give her a sense of confidence, and she's wild emotionally, chemically, the child is impacted and fed by how the mother responds to. And when the baby comes out, you don't wait until the baby reaches 3 or 4 that could look like you, and you could dress the baby to show talk or your pride of life. You see the snotty nose, the crying in eye, the wiping and cleaning of the child and stuff. So we need to really have those meaningful conversations and say, listen, this
is men you're talking about must do
yes,
that?
men must do that.
Okay.
Yes. Right? And so we have to say to our brothers, listen, this is about nurturing. It's not the final product when they make the basketball team, when they go NBA, when they go football, and they make the cricket team locally, and they sign the contract, all of a sudden you want to pop up to be father. Or when you just want to show your manliness in the wrong context, when you want to discipline them. Right? So as you've been there for them very early, and they grow up and they begin to see that, and that resonates in them.
Gentlemen, we have to step on the gas. Short man lineup, video B from a please in the meantime. Now, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Mr. Raymond O'Keel, President of Reach and Inc., and Mr. Jaden Hill, Director of Marriage Enrichment and Recommitment to God and each other. And, of course, we had Dr. Jerome Tiluxing on the phone, who's the founder of International Men's Day. We're discussing, how can men support women and
in light of, on the context of International Women's Day.
On the context of International Women's Day. Now, let me ask you something. Do you all think it's important to have, and after you answer this question, we'll go to Dr. Ross's video, No Means No. The fact that people, women have to actually sing this and say this to men, it says a lot. But do you think that a father should be in the delivery room? Were you in the delivery room when your child was born?
Definitely.
You were there?
Yeah, I was sharing with Natasha and you guys off air that I told my wife when we realized that we were pregnant. Did I say we were pregnant?
Yes. Right.
When I realized we were pregnant, I said I'll do everything but push out this child and breastfeed. And so I went to every doctor's appointment every single time. I did, as Raymond was talking about, as much as I could have done, and I wanted with all my heart to be at the delivery room, and I thank God that Trinidad and Tobago is very progressive in terms of our baby-friendly initiative in hospitals. They are now allowing fathers in the rooms, and we have a lot more that we can do from before, where they would put you outside to wait. Now you're coming in for every appointment. And so I was there. I was able to cut the umbilical cord of my child.
Wow.
And we had a whole moment. We had a whole moment upon the birth of our child. And I say that for men who may be tempted to miss that experience, it is one of the single most bonding experiences when that child is birthed. And understand that everybody will be able to have that experience, some C-section, otherwise, etc. But it is one of the most singular bonding experiences for the family, for the husband and the wife, and for this new child. I never know I had so much tears in me.
You didn't feel the pass out or anything?
No, I didn't feel the pass out or anything.
What do you feel about that, Raymond?
No, my thing is the preparation. Now it's important because we want men to understand bonding is from as early as possible.
Yeah, prenatal.
But we also have to prepare them because not all men, we are very visual, right? Because I have a partner who would have gone through that, and he struggled after to be very intimate with his wife.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah, because he just felt in intimacy, he just fall in a hole.
Traumatized.
And he was traumatized, right? And this is a faith man of God, love God. But he was not prepared. But it's important. I also have a partner who recently went through that, but he was prepared. So he said, boy, while I battle with it, as you said, he said, I found a whole different experience and bonding with my wife and my baby. And, so it took him into that space now of fatherhood, because that kind of focus on his role, his responsibility. We not just the child, the wife, and then he and all begin to think about the wider society. So he shares his experience now amongst his peers who are now eager to want to experience such. So that's what bring about change.
And I like that point because I think it puts into focus for me the fact that sex is not just supposed to be a physical thing. If in a marital relationship, and if in your relationship you prioritize intimacy, and I'm not speaking about physical intimacy, I'm speaking about real bonding with this individual, then you have to recognize that over time, because beauty, the Bible says beauty is sure to fade. So if you got married just for beauty, it's going to fade. And the same thing applies even with the act of child giving and stuff. The breasts are going to change. A lot of the other body parts are going to change. But your relationship with your partner must supersede the physical. And you must really be attracted to something in that person. And that is what really brings that arousal. And that's why you can see when persons have that intimacy, you see them at 80, 90 years old still wanting to kiss each other with dentures in the mouth and all this kind of thing. Because they have something more than the physical, and we want to encourage men.
More than boom, bam, bang.
Yeah, we want to encourage men to.
What Raymond said, and I heard that many times, a man said, after he saw where the child passed.
Yeah.
And he realized, why wasting my time? Because I won't be able to please my wife after this, and they actually got turned off of their wives.
Yeah.
A lot of, they went through the trauma and some men just decided they're not going to look at that.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
And they pass on that to the
So I'm not disqualifying what Raymond said. Yeah. What he's saying is actually factual as well. Yeah.
So go to the video now, please. And when we come back, we discuss it quickly. It's just 3 minutes. Dr. Roz and sisters calling. This is a video they call No Means No. This was done in Canada. And you'll hear more about doctors and the events that they have planning coming up in Trinidad and Tobago. So we could share that when we come back.
Yes.
All right? Okay. So let's go to that quickly, short man.
Can't touch this, can't touch this. No permission given. Can't touch this, can't touch this. What did you hear, man? Take your hands off me. I'm heading to my destiny. And you know, no means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. This is my own choice. Can't touch this, can't touch this. I'll say when to get close. Do not try to impose. My body is my own. My body is my own. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. This temple is my zone. Can't touch this, can't touch this. What the hell do you suppose is happening when you get close up to my pose? Close up to my pose. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. Hear me when I say, can't permission given.
Thank you for staying with us. That was Dr. Roz and Sisters Calling. No means no. And we are on our Independency are supporting Sisters Calling, which is planning to have an event in October. But in the lead up to that October event, you will be hearing a lot more about the organization and its work, not just in Canada, but in Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Yes, but gentlemen, why does a woman have to write a song like that? No means no. And I'm speaking about supporting women in their role. And like early on I said, we interviewed a man here who called himself a prophet. I don't know if any of you heard that interview, who defended the fact that once he gets married to a woman, he has the right to force himself on her, and she cannot say anything, and he should not be charged for it.
That's crazy.
He said no. So Dr. Ross said, but no means no, and we've heard that many times. But what do you think that women keep finding themselves in that position?
Or why do men have trouble
Yeah.
accepting no as a full sentence?
Well,
Some men.
Some men. I really appreciate you saying that some men. Because I think it has to do with a lot of things that were taught to us from young. And unfortunately, we talked about the patriarchy earlier. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with patriarchy except the abuses that persons have used it to disguise. All right? So persons, they use the Bible and they use the Quran and they use a lot of things to do heinous things. And so a lot of persons, sometimes they look at the Bible, they see the Bible say man is the head of the home. And they said that the Bible says a wife must give due benevolence to the husband, and wives must submit themselves to the husband. And they use this as a mantra for being dominant and for being excessive as a man. But forgetting where the Bible says submit yourselves one to another in the fear of the Lord, and forgetting what the Bible teaches. So from very early on, society and the fact that a man is generally, when we speak, a man wants to be powerful, he wants to conquer. These things really create a toxic environment, and the fact that there are men who are right thinking that sit next to their peers and not check the brothers for those types of things is very disappointing to me, because when every individual should have their own agency and their own volition, even in the context of marriage. Yes, two becomes one, but at the end of the day, we are making decisions together, and that means that when she makes her contribution and she says no, that means no. We can have a discussion about it, but if the discussion doesn't move to the position of yes and it still ends up no, no means no. Everyone should have their own volition.
A lot of time the ego and the ignorance. It also talk about a man without self-control is like a city without walls, without gates, so anything can happen to you at any time. No means no. You see the consequences? If that prophet had to face it, that's when you go inside and you have to live in a space like a post office, only meals. And not everybody in person get that experience, but there's some who will get that. And some of them, I bet he will change his behavior and his context.
Yeah, because you want to say no then.
You want to say no.
No, as I always say, choose. You can make a choice, but you can't choose the consequences.
Yeah.
Right? And even we work in the context of the law. If the law really are right, I tell you, my source of influence or belief, I will stand firm against it. But then women are not an object, like a draft not to be moved about. And if she says no, then you have to respect that no. As he said, in terms of the whole aspect of communication, it's critically important. But even as growing up as boys, in our society, the context of our society, and no is still like a yes. No with a grin, even in the space of the law, you will still face the dire consequences of it, right? The firmness of a no, you still have to respect that. So once you get a no, so be it. And some people feel that that no means just continue trying. And as again, the more you try, what you give yourself to, it will master you. So you wanting to dominate, but then you get in no, you get in that blank, you get in that resistance, then that's how the selfishness in you and the ego in you rise up. And as he said, you now want to dominate, so you have to prove. You can't tell me no because I is man. And that is not being a man. Being a man is taking responsibility, accepting a no, considering the outcome of it, and operating upon.
Dr. Tilak Singh?
Yeah, you hearing me?
Yes.
Right. I think what you said when the discussion is going is that I think that we have grown up in a culture with the macho man, and the macho man will not accept no. And right now we have, the macho man not understanding how important it is to accept no, and this could have consequences. He could lose his job, he could lose his life, he could go in jail. And I think the Me Too movement we had a few years ago also emphasized this, no means no. So I think, again, it comes back to how children are socialized, and they know about boundaries, and they know what yes is and no, right, and maybe. So I think, it all comes back to the power of word, but also the erosion of rights. The women have no rights, and they're not respected when they say yes or no.
All right. Before we run out of time, I have on the phone with us another lady who goes by the name of her sobriquet Lady Adana. Master, there was Clifton is her actual name. She's on the line now, and we just want to help her promote a show that she has coming up. As you know, it's a dear friend, my schoolmate, and she is a veteran in the field of calypso, but she has a calypso jazz show coming up. So, Marsha, good morning to you.
Good morning, God. How are you going? Good morning to all the listeners.
Morning.
995 family. Good morning.
Morning, Marsha. One of the more beautiful voices in calypso we have in entertainment we have in Trinidad and Tobago. So, Marsha, you have a show coming up.
Yes.
This is Lady Adana's show, or is it in collaboration with others? Tell us about it quickly.
Okay, so the name of the show coming up is Cali Jazz. It's a fusion of calypso and jazz because that's what I do.
All right.
My calypsos are usually very jazz infused. I've been accused of not singing calypso sometimes, but that's okay. So it's Cali Jazz, and it's taking place on the 15th of this month, which is Saturday coming. Showtime is 7:30. We are asking people to at least be seated by 7:15 because we are going to be starting at 7:30.
Which the venue?
And the venue is the Creative Arts Center in San Fernando. That's Circular Road, right next to OWTU building, Creative Arts Center. And you wouldn't miss it because there's a big banner right up on the wall that says Cali Jazz, and they will see my face. So once you know me, you know your reach.
So how many people we have on the show?
On the show, we have 4 guests and myself. So there's Andrew Donovan on violin. That boy could play the violin. We have Shakila Rhea with a guitar and her reggae jazz kind of vibes. We have my daughter, Curls. She's the frontline singer with the 18 band. She's also going to be on the show. And Umzi, who we call the alchemist. I have collaborated with Umzi a couple times. He is responsible for Murder Day, which took me to the finals.
Okay.
And he's coming to weave his magic within the Cali Jazz. I say it's the muse. The muse has brought us all together for this show. And the show supports, it's not just a concert, it's a concert with a cause. We're supporting Crown Her, that organization that is working to eradicate period poverty within our society. Period poverty is a big thing worldwide. It's a big thing here in Trinidad. And one of the things that we take for granted is that people can afford basic feminine care items. And when you get to the store, they're very expensive. And there are a lot of women and girls who can't afford that. And that's where Crown Her comes in. And Dr. Nadira Rambukas goes across the length and breadth of Trinidad, speaking to young girls and women about personal care and hygiene and the way we should be taking care of ourselves, the way we should use these feminine products as well. And she gives them out to those who are less fortunate and can't afford it.
Natasha?
So we are supporting Crown Her.
Wow.
And yes,
this is an amazing initiative, and I think it's an issue that not many people are aware of. That because every woman in her lifetime, once she is healthy and able to, will have a period, And it will end at a certain stage in her life too.
Yes.
And one of the first questions, actually, when I first brought this issue up with a colleague of mine, and this is a woman, one of her first questions was like, how can nobody afford pads? And I was like, but you would be surprised. Because this is something that you have to get every month.
No, and now tell me something. And that's a question I ask all the time. If we have a single mother with about let's say two or three children, she's working for minimum wage. And then she's faced with the dilemma. Groceries, and to pay the school bus for my children to go to school, and buying pads. Any woman, mother, thinking halfway normal will buy food for the children and deny herself the proper care products for herself. And then she's going to use whatever she could. And it is in the using whatever you could that you end up with long-term health issues.
Correct.
Wow. Yes, so you actually brought something else to our discussion this morning, Lee. I really appreciated that because we weren't even thinking about that in studio here at all in our discussion. So you bringing that up, we thank you very much for that contribution. Period poverty is called.
Yes.
Period poverty, and it's a serious thing. It's surprising. I mean, I don't have all the information about it yet. Okay, I am working with this organization. My membership in the organization is pending, but I am sure that we're going to get past that.
Right.
Because the doctor and I have been in communication. She appreciates the effort of what we are doing with Cali Jazz. There's going to be a bin at the Creative Arts Center for people who could pass and donate.
Wow.
A pack of anything. A pack of sanitary napkins, a pack of shields, a pack of wipes.
Well done, my sister.
A roll of paper towels.
Well done, my sister.
Donate these things.
Well done, my sister. Well done.
Before you go, just tell us quickly about this Cali Jazz show being held outside of Carnival. Is that deliberate? And what is your relationship now to the art form?
Well, when I started singing jazz.
Okay.
I started off as a jazz singer. So this is just me coming back home in my space.
I hear you.
This is just me. And it was deliberate, yes. We deliberately did it close enough to Carnival, but outside of the actual revelry. The people, because it's a cool-down section. This is the time you could come and listen to Calypso in a different environment, in a different style.
Yep.
So tell us once again the time, the date, the place, and the donations that they can make.
So Cali Jazz, 15th of March at the Creative Arts Center. There are tickets available at Creative Arts Center. Tickets are $300. We are also accepting donations of sanitary napkins, feminine care products. And the showtime is 7:30 sharp.
And there's a number to call for more information?
787-1213, 787-1213, or 343-7063. 343-7063.
Lydia Dana, love you, my darling. Thank you very much for
right
this.
Back.
Yeah, you take care, right? And all the best. All
and
success
I hope you have
to
a great
the
show. Yes.
Thank you. I will.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye. So let's take some calls, 622-3937. For the gentleman in studio who brought a different reality to our radio this morning. And how did you come up with the name of your organization? Marriage? Could you tell us?
Merge?
Well, Merge is really my father and mother's creation.
Okay.
They formed this NGO in the year 2007. So it's about 18 years now they've been supporting marriages. And of course, the benchmark of supporting marriages is understanding from a biblical perspective that males and females are equal.
Right.
And so we recognize that in order for us to really flourish, we need to go back to a God-centered relationship. And so that's why it is marriage enrichment and recommitment to God and each other. And so we believe in enriching marriages because people think that the wedding day is the destination after all the hard work, but the wedding is not the destination, it's just the registration. You're just about to start. So we continue to pour into marriages on that journey and thereby creating more individual happiness, more marital and family satisfaction, and of course directly targeting domestic violence and to try to reduce those things?
Reach represent really restoring, encouraging, advocating care for humanity. It would have been birthed out of prison. Not I made prison, but I used to work as an interventor in prison. And one of the things I recognize is that what about if we could prevent before they come in? And there was such a concentration in terms of working with those who are incarcerated. And I felt it was important for us. Prevention is better than cure. And that's how we really birthed Reach. So we do a lot of outreach in schools and communities and stuff, but there's a specific group that a few years now we have been working with is those who would have lost a loved one due to murder. After the 9 days and the 40 days, then what? And these are families who need care and need to know that somebody's there for them. So that's what Reach.
So if they have to get in touch with you, what number?
Well, they can call 294-0891 or WhatsApp 294-0891. So it's about a lot of youth intervention. Presently, we are doing something down in Diego Martin and what we consider challenged communities. It has to do with best man, best woman. So discovering, developing, and displaying your God-given gift and talent to positively impact on humanity.
If somebody wants to get in touch with Merge, Jaden,
how? 731-0374. 731-0374.
All right, let's take our first call. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello, good
morning.
Morning.
Yes, this is the live program.
Yes, you're live on Independency.
All right. Nice in discussion and nice for you to accept my call. Very interesting topics, and I'm glad we are having this type of conversation. I would like to weigh in on the earlier topic on roles, gender roles, and so forth. And you all hear me loud and clear, right?
Yes, we are.
I believe there's a misrepresentation of two words, and it's the root of a lot of the conflict. There's a difference between roles and responsibilities, and these things are abused over the years, have been abused. A male and a female is designed, they are designed differently. That doesn't mean one is inferior or one is superior. We are just designed differently, right? A man has a prostate, a woman has a fallopian tube, she has a womb. We are just designed differently. And because of that, naturally we will have a leaning towards different responsibilities.
Okay, so we don't have much time to deliberate on that, but okay, what the point you're trying to make is?
The point is basically roles does not have to be distinguished from responsibilities. Responsibilities are not something optional. You have the responsibility to love a woman in the way she ought to be loved as a man. A responsibility to father a child. Roles are optional. So, and a lot of the conflict tend to be among the roles. A woman is not. It is not mandatory for a woman to cook and all these things you will hear bandied about out there. And a man physically stronger to carry out the rubbish. Roles are optional, and it does not mean one is superior. We are equal, but we just carry out different responsibilities.
Well said, my friend. Thank you very much.
I would disagree that roles are not optional. Not in a society which will cast you aside, demonize you, and ostracize you if you step outside of that role. For instance, if a man decides he wants to wear a skirt, what is going to happen to him? If a woman decides she wants to be a bodybuilder, what are they going to say about her?
I know several women who are bodybuilders.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good
morning.
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 Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. There's some teachings that not taking place in the world. Who is a woman? And what is a woman? You know, both physically and both spiritually. A woman is the one who holds a secret for God, you know. Anybody would recognize that, or anybody would want to say yes with me, that a woman holds the secret for God.
But it's the first time I'm hearing this, so, enlighten us.
Yeah,
You
because
have a
of the
minute.
fact that a man can't make a child. And for a child to come in the world alive, to be alive from in a woman, that is not, you wouldn't think there's a secret for God taking place. I don't know if I was singing mad.
No, but you have everybody in here kind of. You ever heard that before?
No, well, if I understand the context, that no human being have ever been able to replicate.
And then the
that.
next thing,
So I guess it's
we
a
have to
secret God
start
has.
to encourage men to want to babysit the children. That is a very important thing, to know that child, to understand that child.
Caller, I want to suggest. I like where you're going in terms of. I think what you're trying to get at is maybe that women are uniquely special, and they are. Women are uniquely special, and on this program we want to endorse that.
Yeah.
Men are also uniquely special, and because while a woman carries a child, a woman can't make a child in and of herself, and so we really stress the equality and stuff that is inherent in each and every one of us. And so, and I appreciate your contribution in that regard.
Thank you very much.
And next thing,
Tamika, you're getting the impression that this is a conversation that we need to have some more?
Well, not tomorrow, I'm running. But
I thought so. I thought so.
I already had my day planned, but I'll hold that for Tuesday. And tomorrow, I will further endorse this.
Yeah. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right.
Turn off your radio for us, please.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, gosh.
Because I would like to hear what your friends have to say about it. Yeah, about some friends the other day,
You have never seen friends?
No, you have seen him before, but he came to the Calypso tent and we chat and thing. Yeah, Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
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 Agree with the gentleman who said that whereas women could carry a child, the secret. What the man said, she's
a secret from God. She's keeping a secret from God.
Or for God.
Or for God.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I mean, that's one point of view.
Could you elaborate on why you think it don't make sense? She gone?
I think so.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Sorry.
Good
morning, God and Natasha and your whole panel there. What a lively and beautiful discussion you all are having today.
Thank you very much.
But I heard you mention something a while ago about a reference to the 1989 football where we lost one under the United States and how the country got together.
Yes, that was Dr. Tilak Singh.
Yes, Dr. Tilak.
I want to. All right. Well, I want to take up Dr. That was something, a very special thing, and I want to say that when a country gets together, it makes it easier for every citizen to enjoy the comfort and peace that we're supposed to share as human beings. And that I have to thank God comment for that. If you understand what I'm saying, he brought this country together, and since then we haven't seen anything like that. But I'm saying, if the country gets together, then male and female will enjoy the same comfort, because there will be the differences will be become less apparent. If you understand what I'm saying, and male and female will enjoy the same comfort, and we'll have a more or less a beautiful society. So coming together as a society is one of the fundamental things that might change, the dynamics between the male and female responsibility or life for this. If you think I understand what I'm saying, I don't know if I make it.
Yes, we understand.
And we fully understand as well the power of sport to do that, that.
Because I saw big men cry tears that day.
I wonder if we could come together again. Maybe Anga should have brought it together.
That's another conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. 622. Morning.
Morning, each and everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just want to say one thing, please.
Go ahead.
When God see Adam was lonely, he for him. He didn't make
create no male fame. You create a woman fame. And I think that is you that life should be male and female. I don't know about white, but this gender and this different man and man and woman. That is not in God's book at all.
All right,
Thank you very much
for that.
Thanks a lot. Maybe we'll have a separate program for that. That's a very contentious topic, and I don't think we'll ever get anybody or everybody on board and understanding that situation. So, but there's discipline, tolerance, and production, and tolerance is a very important part of our journey here. And we apart from tolerance, we have to accept that there are people who make decisions on their lives, and I am not the one to tell them how to change that and how to go about it. I'm not going to do that. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning to Garth, Natasha, and your panel there. Thanks very much for taking my call. I just wanted to share, or not to share, but to take off on what the gentleman was saying relative to what brought the country together at that time. Natasha spoke about it. It was sport. It wasn't Galley Cummings. Galley Cummings was one of the vessels through which that was achieved. Right. But the fact of the matter is that the sport, the media, the sponsors, everybody in the country came together behind our team to become a unified presence against the United States and against the other teams we were competing against at the time. That is something that we're still capable of doing, and we look forward to the next opportunity that presents itself.
Yes.
Thanks for allowing me the contribution.
That's the first time I have seen Gary Aboud in public join with the masses and dance going down Frederick Street. The president of Downtown Owners and Merchants.
Yeah.
The first and last time I've seen him in public.
Oh, wow.
Well, since then. But that is how it united the country. In a serious way. I see big men walking up right through the road crying along tears and people consoling them and it's not coming on their nose because we lose that game. The country was really together. I will never forget once that announcement was made, when the match was won. Man, the things that went on. Anyway, we want a time.
But you say something, I just want to, and that is a critical part in terms of us impacting, especially our male, to learn to respect. It's all right to be vulnerable before the child. It's all right to cry.
Yes.
It's all right to let that boy child, especially a boy child, if we're talking about that aspect, to know as a man, you will be hurt, you will be disappointed, your expectations will be failed, but there are ways to deal with it. You don't necessarily have to lash out, and tears is a powerful language. You can meet someone, you can talk to your peers, or sometimes you cry to the bush, you put your head in your pillow, or just have a conversation with Almighty God.
So Dr. Ziloxing, before we go, Dr. Ziloxing, you have 30 seconds. Give us your closing remarks, please.
I just want to say that at the end of the day, we all have a responsibility to promote gender equality and to ensure, that conflict resolution prevails and respect prevails. And so we cannot just, say that the government has to pass legislation or we have to blame it on the teachers, right? We all have that responsibility as upright citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to ensure that nobody is left behind and nobody feels that they are unequal.
Thank you, Dr. Ziloxing. Thank you for joining us. You and the family have a great rest of the weekend. Be safe out there. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Jaden?
Yes. So I'm sorry that we ran out of time. I was hoping that the conversation really could have made full circle, but it probably begs a part too in terms of really getting back to the moot of our discussion today, which is women. And we spoke a lot about what men do and what men don't do. But really and truly, I just want to end by underscoring that women are very valuable in our society. They are equal to men, created by God, equal to men. And that in the workplaces, they should achieve equal pay for the same amount for equal work.
Yes.
All right. They should be given equal opportunities.
Correct.
And we should really focus on changing the mindset of men who look down on women, these toxic men in society. We all have an individual role to play. Organizations have a role to play. Shows like this and programs like this have a role to play in changing our mindset to even the playing field so that everybody can have equality, equal opportunity. Equality to me is equal access.
Raymond?
Well, equality to me is equal access, and I'm not saying that because it's a cliche, but women are uniquely designed to design unique purposes. And in order to also help a man appreciate a woman, I want to encourage women to appreciate and really hold yourself to high esteem. Don't settle for less than God has designed you for. And that will also signal to men that they have to treat you in a particular way with a particular standard. Remember this, don't let your attraction be a distraction to cause a destruction. Yeah, we love women, and we pray that us as men will come to that place, appreciate and understand that we are here to coexist. It's not a fight against each other, but we were given the responsibility by God to dominate not each other, but to work together to maintain even creation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, thank you very much. I have to say thank you very much. This conversation did not go as I expected. I thought it would have been a little more contentious, but still valuable nonetheless. It's always good to have, different perspectives on things. And hopefully we can, with the support of the Gender Affairs Division, maybe we can have a part 2 as well.
Yeah.
I would like to leave this with you all. One of the discussions I'd like to have one day is, what is the right age to get married?
Oh gosh. Well, that will be answered differently from different people in society.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different ethnic groups, different religious backgrounds. It will be answered differently.
Because sometimes I think you get married too early, you could run into problems.
Yeah.
I see people like 19, 20 getting married, and I say, Lord, Father, if they want to know what I'm doing. But that'll be another discussion for another time. Kyle Saunders is in studio with the news coming up at 12. Kyle, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Take care, folks. Yeah. Have a great week. Goodbye.
Yeah.